Day 201. The first thing I did was replace all my diamond tools with iron ones because they were about to break. I also checked on the cows and ran around my property. Day 202, I killed a wolf, and I chopped a lot of wood so I could make gunpowder. After that, I went mining and found some coal. Day 203, I started mining with gunpowder to save my pickaxe. I was afraid I'd get blown up, so I ran down the ladder for extra safety. Oh hey, I found some coal. That's nice because I'm low on coal right now. Day 204, I'm mining in the desert to get more saltpeter so I can keep making gunpowder. Well, I found some germanium, but I haven't found any saltpeter. Day 205, I'm still mining for saltpeter. There we go. Now I have saltpeter so I can keep making gunpowder. Day 206, I decided to remove all the floating trees on my property. It seemed like it was going to take forever, so I made some small gunpowder kegs to blow them up. Day 207, I decided I wanted to build a lookout tower to see my property. So I started clearing dirt to make a spot to build it, and I ended up doing that all day. Yeah, you get the point. I eventually got it all leveled out though. Day 208, I started working on my lookout tower, and I worked on it all day. And here's what it looks like at the end of the day. Well, that's a full day's work for me. Day 209, I'm still working on my lookout tower. It's probably going to take a few days to finish building this thing, but afterwards it'll be worth it. And I'm back at it again on day 210, just building away until I ran out of blocks. Day 211. I feel like that's all I need to say here, because you can pretty much see what I'm doing. Day 212. I'm getting pretty close to finishing this thing. I'm just adding some windows so I can see out of every floor. And then I'll need to add lights and trapdoors and yeah, all that stuff. Day 213, I'm adding lights and trapdoors to the outside of the tower to make it look better. And finally, my tower is complete. And I also started working on a sidewalk so my base would look a little more connected. Day 214, I'm working on making sidewalks around my base still. I made one around my house, from the tower to my house, and from my house to the cobblestone machine. Short story long, day 215 I dug out a sidewalk that connects my barn to my house and tower. And then I ran out of basalt, so I went into the house to get more, only to discover I had ran out in my house too. So I went to my cobblestone machine to get more, and discovered that the only thing it had been making was, well, cobblestone. So I had to exit out and re-enter the world so it would start making basalt. And then I spent the rest of my day organizing everything so it wouldn't happen again. Day 216, I finished the sidewalk I had dug out previously, and I also made a sidewalk around my barn and from my barn to my cobblestone machine. Day 217, I remembered that I forgot to show you what everything looks like at the top of my tower. So I stand up here and just look around for a few minutes. I'm not adding music to this, so enjoy the silence. I also realized how annoying it is to climb all the way down my tower using only a ladder. So I decided to make a pool that I could jump to instead. Alright, the pool is done now. Time to test it out. Little moment of hesitation here. What if I die? What if I don't make it to 300 days? Who cares? Let's jump. And I died. I just didn't know what to say to you guys. This is why it's been taking me so long to make this video. 300 days is over. Just kidding, I landed that jump just fine. Anyways, day 218 I decided to decorate parts of my wall around my base with iron fences. I also built a bridge on the other side of my tower so that I could access the desert easier. And here's what the bridge looks like. Day 219 I tore down all the useless fences inside of my barn, and then I spent the rest of my day collecting grass to fill up the inside of my barn. It's supposed to be like hay, but since I don't have hay in Survivalcraft, I'm just using grass. Day 220 I picked up a lot of torches around my property, made some wicker lamps, and decided it was time for a little upgrade from the torches I've been using. Yep, I think that looks a little better. Day 221, I added more wicker lamps to my property, and I've also filled in a few ponds around my base. Day 222, okay, so you know how creeks in real life have weeds growing around the banks of them and everything? Well, I wanted my creek to look like that too. So I basically just collected grass all day and started putting it around the creek that goes through my base. Yeah. Sounds kind of dumb. Day 223 now, and I'm still putting weeds around my creek. I also rescued our first camel. That is, if you consider this a rescue. Technically, I'm capturing him, but I'm also protecting him from predators. Day 224, I worked a little more on the bridge that's supposed to go to the desert. I also built a sidewalk around my tower so it would look better. Day 225, I finished the bridge that goes to the desert. I also continued working on putting weeds around my creek. Day 226, I wanted to build a water fountain in my base, and I wanted the outside of it to be made of marble. So I set out to get limestone to make marble. I mined the limestone, smelted it with sand, and started digging out a spot for the fountain. After that, I lined it with marble and just started thinking about how I wanted to build it. Day 227, I am still working on the fountain. I lined the marble with brick, and then I made marble slabs, which I later discover water breaks slabs, so that didn't work. And then, at the end of the day, I finally finished it. I even managed to use the slabs I made somehow. Day 228, I decided my property needed another upgrade, so I grabbed some leaves and started making hedges all around my property. Day 229, I spent all day just getting leaves and putting hedges all around my property. Day 230, I moved each light one block behind my hedges and added more hedges in a few spots. And now, at the end of the day, I decided to watch the beautiful sunset. Or was I just looking at the lights in my property? I don't know. I don't remember now. Day 231, I filled in a few low spots around my property. I also collected more grass and put more weeds around my creek. Day 232, I finally finished putting weeds around my creek. Day 233, I collected leaves, moved a few more lights, and made more hedges in some spots. Day 234, I made a sidewalk to connect my house to my fountain. And then I spent the rest of my day making this tree that I thought would look nice, and it never did, so I ended up tearing it down after I tried a few shapes. Day 235, I decided I wanted my house to be smaller because it was just too big. So I built a wall in the middle of my house and then started tearing down the other half of my house. At the end of the day, I had only torn down this much of it. Day 236, I spent all day tearing down my house, and here's how far I got. I still have the floor to tear up, and then I gotta fill it all back in with dirt. Day 237 now, and I'm tearing up the floor. Day 238, I extended the sidewalk and hedges around my house. Day 239, I added lights around my house, and I tore down some of the wall around my garden. The wall really isn't too effective because wolves have been spawning inside the garden anyways due to it being so dark. I also dug some dirt to make things a little more level. Day 240, I harvested my garden. And then I added some doors to my house. After that, I decided it was time to add something that I should have added a long time ago. Actual lights. Day 241, I added hedges around different spots in my property. And then I reorganized some of my chests. Day 242, I collected some flowers and decorated parts of my property. After that, I basically spent the rest of my day planting my garden. Day 243, I finally started getting bored of this world. I didn't know what else to do because I already had everything. So I got some supplies, made a boat, and decided to go exploring. I brought some dirt with me so I could mark my way as I went, just to make sure I don't get lost. I mean, it is the ocean. Halfway through the night, I finally found land, but I was getting cold so I had to build a shelter and go to sleep. Guess I'll just have to explore it tomorrow. When I woke up on day 244, the first thing I did was tear down the shelter I just slept in. And then I started exploring the island. The first thing I wanted to see was what was in these graves. This one had nothing. This one had an iron spear and some fire arrows. And this one had nothing again. Now it's about the middle of the day, and I found a small desert. I ended up going a little farther, did some grave digging, and decided I better start heading back home because it was getting dark. And now it is dark, and I'm just running through the wild, hoping nothing bad happens. Day 245 now. I think I've explored enough of the island, so I decided it was time to head back home. And finally, I'm back home. Well, almost, because I haven't made it to the shore yet. Day 246, I harvested and replanted my garden. And then I got all the XP out of my cobblestone machine. And I gained a level. Yay! Day 247 now, and you remember how I said I'm starting to get bored of this world? Well, I'm still bored. So I decided to do something I've always wanted to do. Make an entire stack of gunpowder kegs and blow it all up in a survival world. I've never actually had enough material to do that in a survival world until now. So I built a dirt tower, and then once I got up there, I looked around and saw my actual tower and thought, you know what? It would be so much cooler to shoot it out of an actual tower. But it was getting dark, so I had to wait until tomorrow. Day 248, and I can finally waste an entire stack of gunpowder in a survival world. Okay, a little more than a stack. And here we go. Oh my goodness, it's so satisfying. Oops, looks like one hit my base. At least it didn't hit my house. Time to go see what kind of treasure I dug up. Looks like we have some saltpeter, a burning tree, and a few craters in the ground. Not bad for cruel mode. And here is the big crater. Day 249, I was just getting bored of this world, and I was only halfway through it, which made it hard to play. So I decided to go exploring again. It's the middle of the night now, and I found a desert. I'm just riding through the night so I don't have to bury my donkey and go to sleep. Day 250 now. I haven't went to sleep since day 249, and I'm still exploring this desert I found. I also went mining in a small cave I discovered, and then I went to sleep. Day 251, I continued exploring, but this time without my donkey because when I came out of the cave, I discovered it was gone. I was kind of sad this time because I had this donkey for a while now and it was just gone. I don't know if it ran off or if predators killed it. Later that day, I found a winter biome and had to make some fur clothes so I wouldn't get cold. Day 252, I'm still exploring this winter biome. And then I saw another white tiger, which to me is typical in a winter biome, but some people think they are rare, so I decided to kill it just in case. Mission accomplished. Day 253, I decided it was time to head back home. I don't want to risk dying, and I also don't want to forget my way back home. I made it all the way to the desert before I had to sleep. Day 254, I woke up and continued my journey back home. This part was easy because I left markers in the desert so I would know my way back home. And finally, at the end of the day, I could see a tower forming in the distance. Of course, it was my tower. And I'll spend the rest of my evening organizing everything I got while I was on my journey. Day 255, I put on some iron armor, checked on the animals, and worked a little more on the hedges and lights around my property. I also finished tearing down the wall around my garden. Day 256, I mined all day. And then at the end of the day, as I was coming out of my mine, I heard my camel being attacked, so I went to rescue it. And I missed and killed it. It's okay though, because I still got my horse, which I've had my horse for more than 200 days. Day 257, I chopped a lot of wood, made gunpowder, and continued mining. Day 258, I just mined all day. I also mined all day on day 259. Day 260, I'm mining. I'm just bored of this world and don't know what else to do other than expand my wealth or build stuff. It's also because of the type of world I have. This world is very flat and has hardly any hills or mountains. I've explored in every direction and just find like a small mountain or two and that's it. Day 261, I spent all day clearing out a spot under my house for a bunker, because someone in the comments suggested it, and I thought it sounded like a good idea. I don't remember who said it now because it's been like a month ago, and to find the comment would just take too much time, so sorry whoever commented that. Day 262, I spent all day working on the bunker. Day 263, I started working on the inside of the bunker. I didn't have it all figured out yet, but I wanted it to look like it was actually a usable bunker. Day 264, I worked a little on the bunker, and then I added some wooden posts to my house to make it look a little better. Day 265, I chopped wood most of the day, and then I added more wood pillars to the house. Day 266, I added 3 more wood pillars to the house, and then I kinda did nothing and just ran around my property the rest of the day. Day 267, I added decorative stairs all the way around my house. And then I started filling in this crater in my base. Day 268, I'm still working on filling in the crater in my base. Day 269, I started digging out a spot to make another sidewalk. This one is going to go to the spot where I ocean mined at. Day 270, I'm still working on the sidewalk. It's going to be a long sidewalk. Day 271, I continued construction on my sidewalk, and by the end of the day, I had it finished. Now I just need to put hedges and light posts around it. Day 272, I basically just went back and forth all day getting leaves, then placing hedges, then getting more leaves, and then placing more hedges, until I got done, and then it was dark. Day 273, I figured out what I wanted to do with my bunker. Since I wanted it to be a real looking bunker, like something you could survive in, I decided it needed plants in it like a food source. So I planted rice seeds in it so that I could at least make bread in there. And then at the end of the day, when it was getting dark, I decided it would be a good time to place lights around my sidewalk, because then I could see how far the light would go before needing another light post. So I ended up fighting predators and placing light posts all night. Day 274, I walked all the way down the sidewalk I made, and then I saw the other sidewalk that I made in the 200 days video to get to a little island. And I decided I wanted it to be 4 blocks wide like the other sidewalks instead of just 2. So that's what I did all day. Day 275, I took my horse and went back to go finish the sidewalk. And then I rode my horse around a little while as it was getting dark. On day 276, the first thing I did was climb to the top of my tower and look around at everything. And then I decided to go mining again. And I finally got more diamonds, which is what I've been looking for this entire time. Day 277, I went mining again because I had such good luck previously. And I ended up mining all day and all night until it was day 278. I slept completely through day 278 because I had been up all night previously. Day 279 and day 280, I continued mining. Day 281, I fixed a few hedges and replanted my garden. Day 282, I killed a few predators. Then I got XP out of my cobblestone machine and went grave digging a little. Day 283, I was killing more predators that were spawning on my property. I was starting to get tired of always killing predators first thing every day, so I decided to build a trap to help eliminate some of them. Day 284, I spent all day working on the predator trap. I hit an underground pond, so it made it a little more time consuming to build. Day 285, I'm still working on the predator trap. And at the end of the day, I pretty much had it finished. All I need now is some rotten meat for bait. Day 286, I killed more predators. And finally, I had enough rotten meat for the trap. Day 287, I checked my trap to see if there was anything in it, and there wasn't. So I decided to kill the nearby jaguar. After that, I chopped wood and replanted my garden the rest of the day. Day 288, I checked my trap again and discovered it had caught 2 predators. And of course I enjoyed turning the trap on to eliminate them because they had been destroying my garden every day. After that, I started building a wall around my garden because even though I have a trap, it won't catch them all. Day 289, I checked the trap again and there was nothing in it. And then I saw some predators beside my house. So I thought, you know what? If they're spawning there, then maybe I should put a trap there too. So I started construction on a second trap. Day 290, I'm still working on the second trap, and by the end of the day, I almost had it finished, but I ran out of spikes, so I'll have to finish it tomorrow. Day 291, my armor wore out, so I made some more iron armor, and then I made some spikes to finish the second trap. But when I stepped outside, I had to fight a pack of wolves that were attacking my cows through the stone wall. After that, I finished the second trap. Day 292, the first thing I did was check both of the traps. The second trap caught a wolf, and the first trap caught a wolf too. So they both helped eliminate at least one wolf each last night. And then I had to kill the wolves that spawned in the pen last night too. And then kill the bear that spawned by my tower. And then fix part of the broken wall around my pen. After that, I went and killed the 2 wolves that were caught in the traps last night. And then I pretty much just ran around my property the rest of the day. Day 293, I started construction on a pool on top of my roof. Someone in the comments suggested it, and again, I don't remember who it was because it's been a while and it would just take too much time to find. After that, I replanted my garden and then it was time to go to bed. Day 294, I worked all day making marble and working on the pool pool, whatever you want to call it. Day 295, I finally finished the roof pool. I also killed the predators and my traps, and then I replanted my garden again. Day 296, the first thing I did was climb to the top of my tower and look around at my property. And I think it's starting to look alright. After that, I went and got the XP out of my cobblestone machine, and then I started working on a bed because someone in the comments suggested it. And if I remember right, it's the same person who suggested the roof pool, but I might be wrong on that, I don't know. Day 297, the first thing I did was check on the cows, because I had blocked them in the barn last night to protect them from predators. And they seemed fine, so then I killed the predators in the pen. After that, I checked on the traps, and they didn't catch anything. I could hear predators outside my base, so I went and killed them, and then discovered one of my traps had glitched, and when I would flip the switch, half of the spikes would raise and the other half would lower. So I spent the rest of the day fixing it. Day 298, I realized I still had some unlabeled chests, and I wanted to fill them up. The chest on the far right, under rye, I decided to fill up first, and I wanted to put pumpkins in it. So I went and planted pumpkins and then spent the rest of my day wandering around my property, killing predators, and waiting for the pumpkins to grow. Day 299, I started working on this tree beside my barn, and I spent the majority of day 299 working on this tree, and then I also harvested and replanted my garden. I planted all the pumpkin seeds I had first because I wanted to grow my pumpkin supply as much as I could before 300 days was over. And then at the end of the day, I did what I normally do. I stayed up all night so I could be awake right at the very moment it turns to 300 days. So I basically killed predators all night. And then, right as the sun was coming up, I stood majestically at the top of my tower, watching the sunrise, and frantically checking every moment to see if it had clicked over to 300 days yet. So 300 days is finally finished. About that, someone asked me if I was going to make 400 days, and unfortunately the answer to that question is no. And the reason is because it just takes too much time. It took me 2.5 months to make this video, and sure I was sick for like 2 weeks, but even besides that, it still would have taken me a long time to make, just because it's a big video, and using my voice in videos now just takes even longer to edit. Basically, the amount of time it takes me to edit one of these videos is the same amount of time it would take me to edit like 20 episodes of the Island series. So this video is the last video for the 100-day series. But now I can focus on other videos and upload regularly now. So expect to see another video from me within like a week or two if all goes as planned. And that pretty much wraps this video up. So if you would, please like this video because it really helps it get noticed. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. Bye.